this is going to be a really quick YouTube video. I'm going to show you how to make this sleeve. So I was working on Simplicity Pattern 8128 because I really like the boxy style of the top, but I needed to jazz up that sleeve a little bit, and with all the split sleeves that I've been seeing on the runways, I thought I'm going to give it a go. So I'm going to show you how I drafted mine. Now, I've seen others where you attach the tie, but I wanted mine to be one full piece, and I wanted the inside of my sleeve to be fully lined as well. So I'm going to show you how I took a basic sleeve pattern from any commercial pattern you have at home and created this sleeve. Okay, so as I was saying, you can use any commercial pattern sleeve that's a basic sleeve to do this. So I was working on 8128, and although I want my sleeve to be a little longer, I'm going to show you how I lengthened it and basically how I'm going to copy this, because we don't want to alter the actual pattern in case you want to use it again. I just use tracing paper. I lay it over the top of my pattern, and then you literally are going to trace around. Measure however long you want your sleeve to be. For me, it's 17 inches, so I'm going to measure from the top to the bottom, and I'm going to mark. That's where I know I want my sleeve to stop, and I'm just going to trace around my sleeve. Okay, make sure you transfer your notches, and I'm gonna do this in marker just so you guys can see, but you should use a pencil. You should be a lot more accurate than I'm being. And then you're going to split your sleeve in half. So I found the middle of my sleeve, right, and one notch, so that's the front of my sleeve, and two notches, that's the back. And we're literally going to cut around this, and then we're going to add seam allowance, so we'll be tracing this again. Okay, I'm gonna lay tracing paper over one of my pieces because now we have a back and a front sleeve. So we're gonna do the same thing to the front and the back. So I'm only gonna show you how to do this once. So we're literally going to trace this again. We're going to trace around the arm's eye, down the underarm seam, and then across the hem, and then we're gonna create what is then gonna be our ties. Okay, then I know that I want my ties to be at least 11 inches long so that it gives me a nice amount of ties to make a little bow. So I'm gonna go ahead and trace the rest of my sleeve. And now I need to add seam allowance to this because we are going to be sewing this with a lining. So I'm gonna add 5/8 of an inch. And then from this point, I'm going to measure the 11 inches that I want for my ties. Now I know I also want this to be at least 3 inches. Because we're using 5/8 seam allowance both on the top and at the bottom. And now I need to create an arc. So I'm going to take my curved ruler and I'm going to create a curve. And now this is my new sleeve. Now I'm going to trace around this area here, through my curve, and then out towards my ties. After you cut around and trace, your final pattern should look like this. And you're gonna do the same thing for both the front and the back sleeve. Then you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna cut 2 backs and 2 fronts And then you're going to cut the exact same pieces out of lining, 2 front linings and 2 back lining pieces. Okay, so you're going to grab front to back and you're going to stitch down about 1 5/8 inches, and you're going to do the same thing for your lining. So you're going to grab 1 front and 1 back, and you're going to stitch down about 1 5/8 inches, and then you're going to lay these right sides facing, and we're going to pin. And what we're going to do first is you're going to stitch down the center, along your ties, across the bottom, leaving your underarm seams open. Then working on just one side, you're going to go ahead and pin 1 lining to 1 fabric, and starting at your stitching, right where you ended stitching, you're going to start stitching all the way down around your ties and then across the bottom, leaving your underarm seams open and the top open. Okay, once you're done stitching, you're going to go ahead and trim around the bottom, your ties, and the inside of your sleeve. Now once you turn it all out and you press it, you have a very nicely finished front and then of course inside of your sleeve. And you want to give it a good press. And now we're going to stitch together our underseams. So the way we're going to do that is you're going to bring fabric to fabric, right sides facing, and you're going to pin all the way across your fabric, right sides facing, and your lining, right sides facing. Okay, so I went ahead and sewed through the fabric, through my lining, and then I pressed my seams open. And when you turn your sleeve right side out, you'll have it perfectly finished on the outside and also on the inside. Now go ahead and pin both layers together around your arm's eye and baste that together, and then continue attaching your sleeve like you normally would. That's all there is to it. I hope you've enjoyed this split sleeve modification. Until next time, peace.